and but I know that you have a gift. And you got a lot to say.
Yeah. Awesome, Tom.
Well, we are in, and I'm going to shorten this a bit. We're in Mark chapter 1, verses 35 to 45. Have you ever, well, this will be, I don't even have to ask this question of Sue Lemon. Have you ever been surrounded with mass confusion?
Hold on, right now.
Oh, you got 3 kids.
Oh.
And especially if
It
you
was
know.
easy. I had 3 before them, so.
Oh.
Fine. But the first time, when I had my 3 kids, I had 2 of them, and then I had the other one. And I went to the store, and in that moment, that's when I knew, like, how am I gonna do it to get the baby out and the other 2 before one of them takes off? That moment I was.
Yeah. It's called a piece of rope. Maybe it was a house full of children at a birthday party. You know, the interesting thing is that all of the energy that's stored up, like in Tabitha, all of that energy should have been saved up for when we're 75. And we need the energy. But they're just overflowing and bouncing off the walls. Would that have been a perfect time to sit down and have a serious conversation with a friend, while all of this is going on around you? Of course not. You would want to meet in more of a solitary place with no distractions. I mean, if you're going to have a conversation that, well, even if it's not a deep conversation, but if you're going to have some kind of a conversation, and you're in a place where that's like going to Applebee's to have dinner and try to talk to the person that's sitting across the table from you, when the noise is like, that's why I don't like to go there. You're assaulted. Yeah, you're assaulted, exactly. You want to be someplace where there's no distractions, or a few. I think that's just common sense. So for that reason, it's better if you're going to go to the Lord in prayer, it's better that you go where there's not going to be any interruptions. And who is our role model for this kind of behavior? In Mark chapter 1, verse 35, and so we'll jump right into that. Now, in the morning, I might say, temprano en la mañana, early in the morning, having risen a long while before daylight. So it's dark. He went out, Jesus that is, and he departed to a solitary place, and there he prayed. He prayed to the Father. And Simon and those who were with him searched for him. Now, I can't remember whether we mentioned this before, but in the Galilee region, the Sea of Galilee, Capernaum, which is where Peter lived, and his wife and his mother-in-law, Jesus, that became kind of his headquarters in Galilee. So that's where he had a place to stay. So when he went off to pray in this solitary place, Simon Peter, and some of the other apostles that were with him went out searching for him. Why? When they found him, verse 37, they said to him, "Everybody's looking for you." Are they looking for him for words of wisdom, or probably? If I were to guess, I would say no. But they were coming from as far as Syria, which is north of the Golan Heights, which is above the Sea of Galilee. So it's a ways away. They were heard of Jesus, and they were bringing their sick down to him so they could be healed. So they were looking for him. The only time he had a chance to pray was before the sun even came up, before these other people had even gotten up. He found himself a solitary place to go and pray. Notice
that in the Garden of Gethsemane.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why they liked that place. Verse 38. But he said to them, meaning to Peter and to the others that were with him. This is so typical. When I read this, or when you read this, what he said, you're going to say, that's not even the question they asked. They're always asking Jesus a question, and Jesus never answers the question, certainly doesn't answer it directly. He just goes, I think we're going to go over here. No, but we said these people are coming here. They're here waiting for you. Oh, let's go over here.
Boy, that looks mystic.
Yeah. But he said to them, let us go into the next towns, that I may preach there also. Okay, why? Because for this purpose I have come forth. For this purpose that's why I'm here. I mean, there's a lot of other reasons why I'm here, but I'm here to tell people the good news. There's going to come a time when I'm not going to be here any longer, 3 years from now, and you are going to go out and you're going to proclaim this buenatísimo, this good news.
Yeah, they didn't realize that what they was doing was a training.
Yeah, it was definitely a training, that's for sure. 39, and he was preaching in their synagogues throughout all of Galilee. When they talk in the Bible about, oh, he's from Galilee, Galilee wasn't the name of the town. You might say, he's from the Galilee. He's from the region. It isn't a specific place. Certainly a lot of fishing going on. A lot of, that was the major occupation.
The Midwest or the Northeast.
Yeah, you might say, okay.
Central Texas.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Hill country.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the hill country. Right, that's a nice Texas example. So let's go to the hill country and proclaim the good news. That's by the way, that's why I'm here. And it didn't mean he had to go to a specific town, but he was saying, let's go to all the little towns in the hill country. And he was preaching in their synagogues, which means that if you were there on the Sabbath, if you're there on Saturday, and you know that the Jews, all of the God-fearing Jews, are going to be in the synagogue, listening to what the scriptures are being taught there. They did some singing in Hebrew of the Psalms. So he went into the synagogues and he taught. And it says, throughout all of Galilee, and casting out demons. Casting out demons was like a big deal. And it was a big deal because there were a lot of demons that were living in the people that were there and were causing them all of the kinds of things that we think of as physical maladies today. Now, verse 40 So he's in the synagogue. Now a leper, oh wait a minute, this is different, I'm sorry. Got the stories mixed up. Now a leper came to him, imploring him, kneeling down to him and saying to him, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." If you are willing, you can make me clean. In other words, if I've heard these stories about these other people who have been healed, and I have this, and by the way, it says, we're all familiar with what leprosy is. Sometimes you watch some of these biblical movies, like what Tom was talking about, and you'll see examples of this. But when they use the word leprous or leprosy, it can also mean any number of skin diseases. It doesn't have to be that particular one. But if you had this, and the whole Leviticus is filled with the rules of how to deal with this, but here was the thing. He says it matter-of-factly, well, and now a leper came to him, imploring him, bending down to him and saying to him, a person that had any kind of, and we'll just say leprosy for this, it's easier to read, use just one term, as leprosy, they were considered unclean. Just like a woman during her menstrual cycle was considered unclean. She couldn't go into the temple. You couldn't go, you couldn't go, well, you probably couldn't go, you certainly couldn't go in the synagogue as well. But even if you're walking along the road and there's a person coming the other way who's got leprosy, they were supposed to yell out in a voice loud enough so that everybody could hear them, "Unclean! Unclean!" Like, don't get near me, because it was a highly contagious disease. And so it was a warning. Not that the leprous person wasn't trying to be so kind to everybody to tell him what he had wrong with him, but it was the Jewish law. This is what you're supposed to do, and it does make sense,
Original face mask.
Yeah, exactly. So this leprous man wants to be healed so badly that he doesn't. For a moment, he doesn't say anything except that he goes to Jesus and kneels down before him and says, "If you're willing, you can make me clean." In other words, I am so overwhelmed by my faith that you can heal me that I'm putting aside all of these other things. Now there's a second part to that story, because Jesus himself knew what the law said. And Jesus could have said to him, "How dare you come up to me when you've got leprosy? Why are you endangering me and my disciples by coming up to me?" He didn't say that. He put aside his knowledge of the law. And this didn't necessarily happen on the Sabbath. I was thinking, I was connecting the two. That's what you got to be careful in Mark, because Mark will jump from subject to subject, and it's not necessarily in chronological order. In a time, it's not like then he went from the synagogue and he went into the street, or whatever. That's why I jumped to it too. Then Jesus moved with compassion. That's a personal God. That's our God. He was moved with compassion for this man. Why? Because when man was created, it wasn't to be in sin. It wasn't to have sicknesses and diseases and to have all of this stuff going on. It's almost like he's saying, it just makes me mourn that my creation has become this.
You created a perfect world.
Yeah. And there certainly was not any of this stuff in it. So, he said, filled with compassion, he stretched out his hand and he touched him, the leprous man, and he said to him, he answered the question, I am willing. He said, if you're willing, you can heal me. And Jesus says, I am willing. Be cleansed. And as soon as he had spoken, immediately the leprosy left him. And he was cleansed. And he strictly warned him. Jesus strictly warned the man and sent him away at once. And this is what Jesus said to him. And he said to him, see that you say nothing to anyone, but go your way, show yourself to the priest, and offer for your cleansing those things which Moses commanded as a testimony to them. So he said, don't tell anybody about what I just did. But today's healing prophecies, they're on TV. They're all the focus of attention is on them. Jesus is saying, don't tell anybody about what just happened. But there's a little bit behind that. But then he said, as if he said, I know the law, and the law says that if you are cleansed of this skin disease, and you can see that in the Old Testament, it lays it all out. You go to the priest in the temple, they examine you, they see whether the sores are all, in this case, the sores aren't just getting better, they're gone. There's no sign of leprosy whatsoever. No sign of the skin disease. But he said, go to the priest in the temple, show yourself to them. Now, they're the witness that you are clean. And they're the ones that can proclaim it as a witness and say, yes, this man is clean. The people that live in your neighborhood don't have anything to worry about. Even though they recognize the man, you don't have to worry about it. And then there's a certain sacrifice that Moses commanded that you should give. And so go do all of this. In other words, Jesus is saying, I respect my law. Oh, my law. The law that he created. I respect the law. I want you to respect the law. So please go do this. Please go in and get this taken care of. Do what the law says to do. 45. However, he went out and posted it on Facebook and tweeted it to all of his friends. He went out and he began to proclaim it freely. Might have done a little jig, a little dance. And to spread the matter as that Jesus could, pardon me, and to spread the matter. In other words, to spread the news. He did that so that Jesus could no longer openly enter the cities anymore. If he walked into the city, he would get mobbed. And yes, the prophets had foretold that he was to perform miracles. In other words, it was an evidence. It was an evidence that he was the Messiah. But when it gets kind of out of hand, and all of the people are swarming around you to where you can't even take one step forward. Oh, please, Master, touch. Oh, please, Rabbi, touch me. Touch my sister's cloak. I know that'll heal her, and do all of this. And it was a never-ending parade of people. That's why at certain times you'll read that he got into a boat and said, just push out away from the shore a little bit, because the people are like swarming on me, and if I'm going to teach them, I need a little elbow room. Just put out from the shore a little bit. Why? Because when he fed the 5,000, when he healed these people, which he was more than happy to do, he fed the 5,000, and guess what? It's not just Chinese food that 30 minutes after you've eaten that you're hungry again. 2 hours later, those same people that had eaten all those loaves and fishes were hungry again. So they wanted Jesus to be king. Hey, if he's our king, he's going to provide us with food. Even Caesar, even the Romans provided bread and wine to the people. And free entertainment. And the entertainment was watching the gladiators kill each other. Yeah, and the hippodrome with the horse race that got around. Hippo is the Greek word for horse, so they have this place. So anyway, so they were kind of familiar. Wow, we got this king. He can provide us food, a miracle. And boy, we want him for king. God, he's saying, whoa, time out. This is not what I'm here for. The kind of bread that I want to offer you is food for eternal life.
The bread of life.
It's the bread of life. So he could no longer enter the cities, but was outside to deserted places. And they came to him from every direction. It says in the NIV, they came to him from Syria, as far as Syria. Wow. So, wow, how are we supposed to apply this to our lives? Well, we learned earlier today that if you're a parent and you've got children, that you are to take this time to remind them. Take the time during your day when you have time with them to remind them of what Jesus has done. And that he can be with you all the time. So we know that he's not going to forsake us. He's always there. And in this day and age, right now, where things are how many of you 6 months ago could have even imagined that we would have what's going on in this country right now? I don't know of anybody.
I knew something was coming.
I knew something was coming.
Yeah.
I've been saying it for a while.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was gonna be like this, but I felt it.
Something's gonna happen this year.
You could feel it in your loins.
I knew inside me that I wasn't gonna finish the school year always something that's gonna happen, but.
Okay, well, my point is that,
Nobody knows what we don't get.
yeah, nobody knew. So, but, and you can tell the people who don't have, any joy in their life, and they don't have any foundation of faith, because they're the ones that are, oh, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna make it through this? I don't know, the same way you always have in the past, when things dried up. It's not the first time we had a recession. It's not the first time that things were bad. It's not the first time that the Communist Party was trying to make inroads into McCarthy. You remember Joseph McCarthy? That was kind of a little weird, but yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've had lots of epidemics, but nothing on this scale. So anyway, it is a time, I believe, that God is saying to us, look up. Your redemption is near. Those of you that don't know me,
The season is changing.
and for my children, for people of faith, it's time for you to ramp up the praying that you're doing for your family and for your friends and for your country. Because He's the only answer. If your hope is founded in everything else, if your hope is founded on the stock exchange, boom, that stock exchange can fall so easily. If it's built upon your family and friends, they'll forsake you. But if your hope is built on the cross and on Jesus Christ, then you don't have a thing to worry about. Even though you lose everything around you, you're still always going to have Him. Okay. So let's sing our last song.